Secretary of Energy Chris Wright joins me. Nice to see you, sir.
Great to be here, Greta.
Okay, a piece of the bill has to do with energy. Did you get, at least in the Senate bill, what you want for the United States?
Tremendous progress in the Senate bill, yes. I would say, in short, this is great news for 340 million Americans because they get to win twice. They get to save $500 billion in subsidies the government was going to pay out in the next 10 years. That's the reduction in subsidies. And they're going to get lower-priced energy and lower-priced automobiles with paying less subsidies out. Normally, you pay subsidies, you get something cheaper. The subsidies in energy have been perverse. The more subsidies we pay, the more expensive the product is to consumers.
Well, the subsidies were designed, I believe, because people wanted to do something because they were sort of looking ahead to see what's going to happen with energy and energy consumption here in the United States as well as around the world. What is the future of energy consumption? Because how long can we depend on fossil fuels?
Oh, fossil fuels, the supply is virtually unlimited.
But I mean, not just supply, but at what point do we devastate the environment?
Okay, so everything has trade-offs. There's no such thing as clean energy or dirty energy. Hydrocarbons in modern engines burn cleaner and cleaner. The air where I grew up in Denver is dramatically cleaner than I was a kid. All cars are still powered by gasoline, just like when I was a kid, just higher quality engines. The argument against them has been greenhouse gas emissions. That's harder to admit, to get rid of. Wind, solar, and batteries today are 3% of U.S. energy and less than 3% globally. They're just simply not a substitute from what we get from oil, natural gas, and coal. 2 billion people in the world are still heating their homes and cooking their meals burning wood and dung inside. So the progress of energy will continue with technology. We've migrated from wood to coal to oil to natural gas. Nuclear is actually the next.
Where are we on nuclear? Because, nuclear is clean, but at least some of us are old enough to remember we get scared because we think of Chernobyl or we think of the 3 Mile Island, which, of course, the 3 Mile Island didn't have any damage, just scared the living daylights out of us. And then, of course, in Japan, there was a problem. But outside of that, we haven't, knock on wood, had any problems. Have we with nuclear energy?
It has the safest track record of any form of energy on the planet, so including the incidents you mentioned. And those are the first-generation reactors built after World War II when we first developed this atomic technology. I'm very bullish on the future of nuclear, but it's easier to scare people than it is to reassure people. That's been the same problem with hydrocarbons. Even worse with nuclear.
Well, some countries, I think France had a lot of nuclear power plants. A great bit of their energy is nuclear.
Their electricity sector, it's 70% from nuclear. They've had a great track record with that. Much cheaper electricity than in nearby Germany that went all in wind and solar.
So what's the future of nuclear energy in the United States?
It's bright. It's bright. But its past is, it grew fast and then it plateaued for 3 or 4 decades. It's become expensive, risky, and just simply takes too long to build anything nuclear in the United States. This administration has been all in to change that. 4 executive orders, some reforms in permitting, reforms at the Department of Energy that we're going to lean all in to try to push next generation energy that's reliable and always there for you.
Well, when you say risky, and that's the one word, that's the buzzword. Is it risky economically or risky Chernobyl risky?
Risky economically. Takes too long to permit, too uncertain to do that. We need to make nuclear, of course, safety is prominent. We need to get American citizens reassured and have very strict safety regulations. We can do that and make reactors be able to be built faster and be able to innovate and drive those technologies better and better.
We have some operating now in the United States.
We have 100 nuclear reactors operating in the United States.
The fact that we have 100 and we haven't heard about it means that we haven't had a problem. Because, boy, we'd sure hear about if there were a problem.
Incredible safety record. Best of energy source in the country.
So what's been the problem? I mean, like I said, that scares me because I'm old enough to remember Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island. So why haven't we been like France? And if it's safe, who's in the way? Or what's in the way?
What's in the way is in the United States, we've made it very hard to build things today and very easy to stop things. And fear is the trade of environmental groups. I was a board member of an environmental group till I got my new job, but focused on land and animals and clean air. Most environmental groups today raise huge amounts of money to scare you about something. And nuclear has been a huge target of environmental groups. So anytime a plant gets applied for a permit, there's immediately a suit. Then there's a NEPA review that can drag on 6, 7, 8 years. That's hard to fund something that takes so long approval to build. Supreme Court came out with a recent decision, 8-0, on we got to bring NEPA back to what it was originally supposed to be, which was sort of a thoughtful environmental check, not a weaponization to stop projects. Our own department at the Department of Energy released new NEPA rules today, as did other agencies across the government. We're just going to bring common sense regulatory reform in the United States that protects our environment, protects human safety, but allows people to build things again.
Energy Secretary Christopher Wright, thank you very much, sir.